The No Money But Dreams podcast is for those millennial dreamers
who try to be in the top 1%.
It doesn't matter what we've achieved.
We wake up every morning with the mindset that we're still broke,
We welcome you on our journey in search of that home run.
which can change everything.
Everything?
Everything. Welcome back to another episode of No Money But Dreams. Today we're going to talk about why is hiring more important than anything you do.
And that being your human resource strategy is probably the most important thing you can think about, I think, in a corporate situation, just as much as it is as an entrepreneur.
I want to talk to you specifically as being a leader and how important it is to hire the right kind of people. I'm going to give my take afterwards, but I really truly believe, and this has come out in the last kind of 2-3 years, how important it is to hire the right kind of people. So give me a little bit of an overview of what your business has gone through over the last 2 years, where you try to kind of distance yourself a little bit from the day-to-day operations and hire middle management across the board and the kind of challenges that you have faced.
Yeah, I think this is a topic that everybody realizes, everybody is super aware of in their own business if they're thinking of starting one as well. But it's extremely difficult to implement and practice. You know, finding the right people and the right fit for your organization is a lot more difficult, especially when you have to make a decision based on a CV and 3 interviews. You know what I mean? And what is 100% clear and certain is that if you want to win in business, you can't keep yourself in the comfort zone, and you need to keep pushing yourself further and further. And if you can bring somebody in who can take care of, you know, the mundane tasks which you've done in the beginning of your business, that gives you more time to think about strategy. Think about where you're going, how are you going to grow, either raising more money, for example, or pivoting. All these different things, it becomes very difficult when you're stuck in the operation, you're stuck in the day-to-day. I was listening to a really interesting podcast with Peter Chernin, and he said that if you want to be the best, that you need to hire the best team. Everybody knows that. But the chances that you're going to hire a superstar with loads of experience is extremely slim. Very difficult, because a superstar with a lot of experience, the company he works for knows that and is not just going to let him go for nothing, you know? So you're kind of left with 2 choices. And that is, do you hire somebody who's not a superstar with a lot of experience, or do you take a chance on somebody on the way up? You know? And I really think that resonated with me and will take part in all my future kind of hiring strategies. And because you have a lot of experience doesn't mean you're fit for the job. And I think you've noticed that as well in your time working in your industry as well. There's super basic things, which is number 1, come with solutions, not problems. Like, let's try and figure out a solution. Hard work comes in there as well. And I feel that as you hire up and not sort of at like the foot soldier level, like, people expect to do less work and get paid more. And when it's coming out of your own pocket, no, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Every single dirham that I'm paying you is money that could be in my own pocket if I do your job, essentially, which I am capable of doing, or I wouldn't be where I am today, because I have done every single job that you had to do to scale this business to the point where I can afford to pay somebody a salary to come in and do a job which I was doing before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, there's a few things that are really important when you're hiring people. The first thing is attitude.
Yeah,
right?
Attitude is everything.
It's absolutely everything. If someone has the right attitude, it doesn't really matter so much to me what his skill set is. I will find a job that fits his skill set, or I will stretch him to get to the job where I want him to be. But if you don't have the right attitude and you come to me with problems all the time, or with excuses of why you can't do something, or why you can't find a way to make something work, we're not going to get along, right? So hiring for attitude is so important. And then in terms of hiring the right kind of people, what has come out to me that is even more important is that you find someone that also fits within the culture of the team,
Mm.
right? Because you can have a superstar, as you call them, and that superstar just doesn't fit with the culture,
Yeah.
right? And if you get in someone like that, he may be able to perform well himself, but within the organization, he doesn't fit because the people around his direct reports won't go above and beyond what they should go so that everyone can succeed. So when you're hiring, yes, attitude is one thing, but is this guy a team player and can he fit in the current structure of your organization?
Mm.
So that's a really important point as well. And that's not easy to hire for. And how I try to hire the right kind of people in that instance is I'm going to do more and more interviews, and I'm going to let them speak to random people, not necessarily his direct reports or his direct superiors, but I'm going to pick a few different characters that interview this person to try and ask a number of different unrelated kind of questions and see how he reacts, and ask a lot of questions. If you're in an interview and you're the one talking the whole time, you're not doing a great job. You should be the one listening,
Yeah.
right? You should keep having more questions to really suss out. And this comes back to your point. Hiring a superstar that on paper looks like a superstar, it may look like that because he's good at selling himself. But when it actually comes down to it, was he the one that drove the success in the organization? Or was he just a number that was hiding behind someone else's success?
Yeah.
And when you want to hire someone in your team, you want to have the guy that was actually doing it.
Yeah.
And that was actually growing the organization, right? And that you can only find out by asking questions and sitting there silence and keep probing, keep asking more questions to find out, is this guy really going to take me to where I want to be? And the last point that I want to get in response to yours is, am I going to take someone that's kind of like on the way up and stretch him to get him to that place?
Yeah.
I've had experience where this is absolutely the right way to do things. At the same time, I always give this example when there's an organization that has gone from 10 million to 100 million. There are people that take you from A to B, but then there are people that cannot take you from B to C, right? And you may have to hire a completely different type
Skill
of
set.
people to get you to C. There will only be so many people that got you from A to B that have enough character, imagination, and aptitude to get you to C, right? So you may it's just a natural progression where you have to bring in other people. And then I want to make one other point why it's so important to hire the right kind of people is at some point you're going to get to a level where you're not an expert anymore, right? Social media, dev work, finance. There's so many different departments where you will have some kind of general understanding, but you will not be the subject matter expert, and you will have to get someone in to support you. Otherwise, you're doing tasks which you're not the best person for, but you're also only doing the task at such a level, not at, the level that someone is an expert in. So, and as a business leader, you want to surround yourself with people that are better than you, that are people that in that department can do a better job so that you can focus on, like, I know that your strength is marketing and product development, right? So if I was in your shoes, I would just hire people around me that can do all the other tasks, which you call mundane, or the finance tasks, all the things that you're not passionate about. Let someone else do them, right? The same as for me. I know that I'm very good at identifying kind of revenue streams and hidden potential that not everyone sees. I like to spend my time doing that. What I don't like to do is then go and say, okay, I've done project A, B, C, D. These are the results of project A, B, C, D. Yes, I want to know whether it worked or not, but to collect all the data, to put it into presentation and all of that, I'm not the best person to do that. So I need to surround myself with people that are much more detailed orientated to pick up my slack and round out so that we can then go and say, hey, this was a great project, this wasn't a great project. So identifying your strengths as a leader and your weaknesses, and then hiring around that is also really, really important.
Yeah. I think that I get really excited in interviews and think like, this is the guy, or this is the girl that I need 100%. And I don't go through due process of interviewing over and over and probing and asking all those different questions. And I haven't really formed a system to hire people. I'm really good at hiring supervisor, like store level. I just have a gut feeling. I can tell within 10 minutes whether we'll get along or we won't get along, because I've done it 100 and maybe 250 times. But managing somebody to kind of take on the responsibilities that I have, I've done 5 times. Compare 250 versus 5. So I really struggle with that. And I think I need to create a process which I can follow and probe and take more time. Like, there is no need to rush into something. But I think that also ties into the fact that I can't stand reading CVs. I really can't stand going through and sifting CVs. I don't mind meeting people. I love that part of it and having the discussion, except for the fact that I get too excited and make rash decisions. And it's really something that I need to work on, because the way you look at it, if you don't hire the right people, then there's no way that you can grow and there's no way that you can scale. It's impossible. You can't do everything. And you can't be a micromanager either.
Yeah. When it comes to hiring, the other thing that is really annoying is if you have a system to hire people, and instead of following that system, you just hire people in your network because you know them, you've worked with them before, which may be a good reference. But this due process that you're talking about also means going through a number of different kind of candidates to find the best person for the job, and not the easiest person that is around.
Exactly. I think I suffer from just taking the easier person because I'm so frustrated.
We all do.
Yeah, but I'm so frustrated to go through so many more CVs. It's just a problem. I don't know why it's ingrained in me. I despise it. You know what I mean? And as an entrepreneur, you're really locked in the business 24/7. So as much as you want people to come and do like mundane tasks or tasks which you don't think you're very good at or you don't enjoy doing, it would also be refreshing to have somebody who would take that time to objectively like evaluate what you're doing and give suggestions.
Are you still hiring every single person?
Now I went back to yes.
Yes.
Because when I gave... Yeah, go ahead.
So this is exactly why I asked this question. Why are you still hiring every person?
Because when I've let other people do it, they make mistakes.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. I've gone around that same circle.
And I rather actually spend all my time making sure I have the right people in my organization than anything else, because that's more important.
See, and this is exactly why we're doing this episode today.
Yeah.
Because I feel that when you get more successful or higher up in an organization, people think, oh, it's not my job anymore to do all these interviews, and
I
someone
thought
else
that
can
as
do
well.
it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then ended up with some people who were just, no, I would never ever, I would tell you on the first day, this person cannot achieve what I'm looking.
Yeah, I had the same issue, and I had to go back to really buckle down.
Yeah,
and
back to the drawing board.
allocate more time towards doing interviews. And you have to go through a number of different candidates. And you know that, like, if you compare the interviews and say, look, I interviewed these 10 people for the role, these are definitely the 2 people that are going to come out on top, because when you have 10-15 years experience, you know this at some point. But when you're not willing to put in the time to
you're being
go
lazy.
through these 10
You're
people,
making excuses.
exactly. So, but what I also don't like is when someone schedules an interview for an hour.
No need.
Yeah, do a half an hour, and if I like someone for half an hour,
It'll go on for an hour.
no, yes, and you can also then let him be interviewed by a number of other kind of stakeholders, because I always like to have a fact check on my kind of gut feeling, because I am like you, I get excited, right? And before I get excited and hire someone that I may think, because sometimes I see myself in people, and I want to give them a chance and I want them to succeed, but they may not have the same drive, right? There's a reason why we are in the positions that we are, and why other people are not, right? And then getting someone that has a completely different view, that isn't emotionally involved and didn't have that good conversation with the candidate, is a really good fact check, and getting feedback and asking them, look, I like this person. I'm not going to tell you anything else. Just do your normal interview and give me feedback afterwards. And I've had shocking feedback after some of these rounds where someone has said, no, we can't hire this person. Like, this person said he's going to scream at people on the sales floor. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't get this feeling at all.
Yeah.
Right? And because I didn't ask that kind of question. So your own questions, they also have to vary, because you like to answer that. You almost like to give a question where he can answer the right kind of answer that you want to hear, right?
Yeah.
And someone else will ask a completely different question. You're like, what? This guy said this?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And sometimes I then fight for the candidate and I want to have another interview or get a third person involved. And sometimes I'm just like, man, there's so many points. You really saved me. Thank you so much for taking the time to interview that person.
Yeah.
But it is the most important thing that I do now on a day-to-day, apart from strategy work, is to interview people and consistently ask for more and more CVs, even if there is a difficult role to hire for where you don't have many candidates.
Yeah.
Keep going out, keep asking the network, keep asking other people to get a number of CVs in front of you, a number of interviews lined up, because if you hire the wrong person, what implications does that have? You waste the time training them.
Yeah.
You waste the time of probation period, and you figure out after 2, 3, 4, 5 months it's the wrong person. Then you need to hire another person, and you need to train them again. Like, there's so much costs involved that people don't speak about.
Cost, time, stress.
If they only invest that time at the beginning of the funnel, then you don't have all these issues further down the line.
Yeah.
So,
and yes, you're going to make mistakes. No one is perfect every single time. But your ability to reduce that churn of making a mistake is so important, because you can then focus on the strategy. You can focus on what matters and not have to turn back and go from square one all over again.
And there is a reason why the biggest companies in the world and the toughest jobs have 7, 8 rounds of interviews.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law just got into Amazon here, and she did 8 rounds of interviews over a number of weeks.
Because they're not just going to let anybody in the front door.
Exactly. And that means that, we need to hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
If we want the right kind of people working for ourselves, then you got to make it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that also weeds out the candidates, because some people just don't want to prepare a case study, don't want to prepare why and speak to so many people. They just want to get a job, and they fall off, right? So the more you can drag this out, because the worst thing is, and in Dubai it's even worse, because if you get someone a visa,
oh God, yeah,
you pay $2,000.
Yeah.
If it's the wrong person, that $2,000 is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
So
I think it's a matter of us being accountable, that this is probably the most important component to being successful, and really spending the time, investing the time, coming up with a framework, a process of what you ask. And yes, it is 5 interviews if you're going to get a job with me, and it has to be 5. I have to meet you 5 times. 1 time in a restaurant, maybe. 1 time over coffee, 1 time on Zoom, 1 time, in different settings where you're exposed to different things. So you might ask different questions.
So I know from you that you want to hire someone in operations, right? And you want to hire also someone around social media, right? Because both of these take a lot of your time, right? So when you hire someone like this, obviously on social media, you look at the work that they have done previously. But what could you do better? Because I know that you've had 1, 2 hires that didn't go the way that you wanted it to go in that department. And it's such an important thing for you to disattach yourself from the brand that you have built over such a long time.
Yeah.
So what is your process now to try and get the right kind of person in?
I mean, I think it's very much the process which I want to see whether we vibe together to create content, and whether after maybe 5 times that we do create content together, or 10 times, that you start to see my vision. You put in a bit of your own, but you can kind of understand where I want to go with it, without me spoon feeding so much. And then there's basic things like coming on time. Some people always have a problem. Yeah. And figuring that out, whether that is a always have a problem person, sometimes you can't do it straight away. Takes some time. And I had a situation where literally every single time, and I used to see the person once a week, there was a problem or an issue. I just told the person, listen, you are a problem person. And that I cannot work with somebody like that. I cannot have somebody who's always has an excuse, always isn't ready to do whatever needs to be done, always, always, always. It's never ending. You know what I mean?
I want to give a great example to counter yours. I hired someone for a sales job, which I know that he's an entrepreneur at heart. He comes from an entrepreneurial family. And I know that he probably wouldn't be the person that does the most amount of dials on the phone. But he had this thing about him that was just, I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this industry and I want to get involved and I'll do whatever you ask me to do. 2 months into the job, he said, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, I want to quit. This is not really my passion. I want to do something else. He didn't want to leave the company, but he didn't want to do sales anymore. And why didn't he want to do sales? Because I had a meeting with the whole sales team and I told them, look, I want these 30 projects to be done. Yeah. I asked everyone, what are the things that we need to do to become number one? And 30 different things came up. And he said, man, this number 2, I want to do. I want to do social media. I want to do your YouTube channel. And I said, wow, that's amazing. I mean, no one came to me and said they wanted to do YouTube.
Yeah.
And he actually had grown his own YouTube to 4,000 or 5,000 views each of the videos. So he had something to show for his outside interest that could back up
His personal
why he
brand.
wanted to do it. Yeah, exactly. And I said, of course, I'm going to take you out of sales. I'm going to let you do this.
Yeah.
Right. But because I hired for the right attitude with this guy, he then later just switched seats like this. And now he's doing an amazing job.
Flourishing.
Exactly. So when you hire the right kind of people, there isn't this, oh, this is my job description and I can only do this. And you as a leader then have the responsibility to put them in the right kind of situations where they can flourish.
Exactly. That's the key point. You've hired based on attitude. And I think that point, whatever it takes, is really important. And I know that both of us are similar in that, like, if I'm going in a situation where business is not going correct, then I just, for example, when the burger industry is not going well or sales are not good, instead of running away, no, I sit in the store.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but the thing between you and me is, we are the leaders and we have to do this, right? When you're hiring people at a lower level, not everyone comes with that attitude, right? A lot of people just come, I want to get my 9 to 5, I want to get out of here and that's it, right? When you find these people that really have ambition and that want to go to the next level and the next level and the next level and they want to be where you are. I had people in my interview, when you ask them, where do you want to be in 5 years? Those kind of standard kind of questions. And someone says, I want your job. I'm like, fantastic. That's exactly what I want. I want someone.
But a lot of people in the corporate world don't like that. Don't like that response.
Yeah, people don't like that. But I like it because I was like that. Yeah, I may have not voiced it back then. But if someone can be so confident to tell me in
that's what I want. I
in
want
my
to be
face,
in your job.
I want to have your job. I was like, okay. So how do you think you can get there? And then they have a plan of, I want to do this. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. When you get these kind of responses, I know that I have got a guy in front of me that I can put in many different situations and I can see whether he can then deliver because I'll give you a chance, right? I'll definitely give you a chance. If you mess up the first chance, I'll give you a second chance. If you keep messing up at some point,
you pull the trigger.
Exactly.
Pull the drain,
But those kind of people, when you find them, you should try and hunt for them. You should try and hunt for people, even at the lowest level in your shop, whether it's front of house or back of house, that want to become storekeepers or regional managers, right? So they may have to go.
That would be ambition then. You're looking for ambition.
Exactly. And that paired with attitude is just
killer combination.
Yeah.
Ambition and attitude.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So that was our take on why hiring is so important.
Yeah, and it is something that everybody needs to spend more time thinking about, especially your entrepreneurs out there running your own businesses, whether it's the first hire you make or the 1,000th hire. I think having due process, spending some more time, and if there's anything that you're going to do yourself, make sure it's which people you let through into your organization.
Yeah.
I think is the most important part. Anyways, on that note, thank you guys for tuning in. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.